The idea that the meeting between President Roosevelt and King Saud aboard the U.S. Quincy has actually been exaggerated. It's a popular myth that this is when the President of the United States met with the Saudi leader and said it's assumed that a secret deal was put together between the two of them that would start an arrangement where the United States would provide security for Saudi Arabia in exchange for preference when it comes to purchasing Saudi oil. However, when you look back at the historical records and the notes taken at the meeting, it appears that Roosevelt and Saud spoke mostly about American support for Israel and the Israel-Palestine issue, which was troubling the king to an extreme degree at the time. They, as far as we can tell, spoke about oil very little. And in fact, the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia did not become nearly as robust as it is today until the late 1960s, even early 1970s. So it's a common misperception that it goes back that far. I think that it's contemporary observers looking back and projecting the current way of things on the past.
The U.S. Saudi partnership goes back to the 1930s when U.S. oil companies acquired energy rights to Saudi oil fields, which produced the Arabian American Oil Company, Aramco, which was nationalized in the 1970s and 1980s. U.S. Saudi ties were formalized in 1945 when the King of Saudi Arabia, Ibn Saud, the father of all future Saudi kings, met with Franklin Delano Roosevelt on a U.S. warship in the Suez Canal. The Roosevelt King Abdulaziz meeting led to a sort of dialogue over issues like Israel and Palestine, which has to some extent bedeviled U.S.-Saudi relationships periodically, but it also led to a productive working relationship based on oil and on energy, in part because for 40 years, U.S. oil companies provided expertise and they provided the skills and the technology to facilitate Saudi Arabia's expansion into the world's largest oil exporting state. And that expertise has continued even after the nationalization of Aramco in the 1970s and 80s. So U.S.-Saudi relations continue to be multi-level more than 80 years later, and they have also been institutionalized from that first personal meeting between Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Ibn Saud.